Hello, and today we'll be playing the final build of Hearthfire. Yes, this is the final one. There won't be any more after this one. So, the last update ended with both Tarek and Chris said goodbye, and his ex-boyfriend driving him away while Chris looks at the the mirror, the mirror on the outside of the truck, where you look back to see what's behind you. So, in that image was Tarek, and that's the way the last build ended. So, with Chris and Tarek now no longer together, I wonder what's going to happen. So, will we see Tarek again, or will Chris be able to rekindle his relationship with Daryl, his ex-boyfriend? Well, we're about to find out which one. So here's a final update. The soft drone of road noise filled the cabin with a muted fuzz. At least the chill of the window was soothing as I leaned into it. While I didn't exactly break down to tears, my cheeks were still running hot. Daryl had thankfully been silent so far. The only thing he's been doing is flashing me concerned glances. When he could, anyway. The roads weren't exactly forgiving. I would know that more than anyone. So, he finally broke the silence, his voice scratchy before clearing his throat. You doing okay, dude? I'd never known him to be so timid before. It would have been endearing if I wasn't feeling like shit. Yeah. He flashed me a warm smile, glancing at me for a moment. Your, scarlet's nice. He noticed my look, eyes flicking to squint at him. Like, it's not bad or fuck. He squeezed the steering wheel, the leather creaking a little. I'm sorry. This is all my fucking fault. Again, I probably would have wanted to console him if I wasn't feeling like garbage sack. It's fine. It is though. His fingers drummed on the wheel, a mix of nervous energy and frustration. What did Dominic say to you? It wasn't my place to pry, but I didn't feel like playing with subtleties. He laughed wanly. Just the standard new to old boyfriend talk. Or at least I think. He didn't say you two were. He paused awkwardly, doing things together, but it's pretty obvious with how you two split. I felt a faraway pang of guilt. While I didn't go out of my way to give details about Tarek, I still said more. I didn't even know we had a shared love until near the end. But yeah, threatened to snap me like a toothpick if I hurt you again. There was a wise chuckle as he thumbed weakly at the wheel. And yeah, I hurt you. You didn't do it on purpose. He shrugged his broad shoulders languidly. Doesn't really matter. Did the same damage. His words were matter of fact, lacking any stabbing sense of self-pity. So, boyfriend, huh? The word hung in the air ragingly. I'm I'm not gonna lie. I thought maybe we could've. He cut himself off before shaking his head. Sorry. I shouldn't be talking about what happened between us. Not after all the shit you've been through. Don't really got it right. No, it's okay. My ears folded back. I mean, it's not. You know what I mean. I could see his tufted tail twist behind him, slipping back and forth in the slit in the seat. I've just been running away from my problems, and I've hurt people because of it. I thundered at my seatbelt, wetting my pad along the rough edge. You're my best friend, Daryl. Seeing the bittersweet look in his eyes hurt, but I continued speaking. But we weren't compatible. He opened his mouth for a knee-jerk reply, but it didn't come. His ears lowered as he thumbed at the wheel. I don't know, dude. I thought we were. We were getting into so many fights over this. He pretended everything was okay to deflect from the fact that he wasn't ready to be open with our relationship. And I knew this could lead to another argument if I took that confrontational stance. How's football going? He took the deflection in stride as he rolled his broad shoulders. The season turned out alright. Started as a quarterback now. I noticed the subdued tones he was using. Maybe it's just the current mood, but he should have been ecstatic about achieving his dream. Scoring any touchdowns or field goals. He gave me a look. You're probably thinking of other positions, dude. Football was utterly lost on me. I only vaguely knew the rules. Even then, I was mostly there to watch Lawrence guys crash to each other. But nah, threw a few good passes that resulted in them, though. We did alright. Not enough to make it to the playoffs, though. Coach says it's modern day distractions getting in the way. Is it the same guy, that scary wolf? Strickland? Yeah, he's not going anywhere soon. I think his contract lasts until he kicks off. Probably. You ever thought about, I don't know, switching colleges? Find a better team with a more accepting coach? It's tail switch, lasting a few times. Ain't that easy. His free foot thumped into the floor real quietly. Besides, I might be getting scouted anyway. Scouted? I remember when that term came up before in high school. He mentioned getting interviewed professionals watching the game, evaluating his potential as a player. Always stood out for his ferocity on the field, the ability to tie his strength into tactical thinking. Well, that's what I've been told by people who understand the game better than me. Do you think you're going pro? That made him crack a smile, a small one, but it made me feel better already. No guarantees. But hey, I got lucky before, right? I was hit by a loss of deja vu. It was like the end of high school all over again, minus the wintry scenery. A confident lion behind the wheel of a beat-up old pickup with an unshakable dream ahead of him. Even with everything I've been through, my trajectory through the future was murky, but I oddly found myself alright with it. It was weirdly liberating, free to choose my own path, to make my own decisions. You look like you're feeling better. I strapped my shoulders. A little bit. I guess being somewhere familiar helps. Daryl warmed a little, giving me a side glance as he steered around the sharp hillside. Hey, I'm just glad you're okay, dude. Like I said, I was pretty freaked out when you upped and vanished. His fingers droned along the wheel nervously. Just really glad you didn't do anything to yourself. I shut the enthusiasm out of me, my weak smile sliding off. If it's any consolation, that thought never passed my mind. It might have looked like I had death wish driving all the way out here, but I promised that sailing off the road wasn't my choice. Almost as if listening, the wheels slumped ever so slightly. Devil sat up in his seat, redoubling the grip on the wheel. Christ almighty. He hissed sharply, his gaze narrowing. Yeah. How about we get home quick, yeah? That sounds like that's how I got stuck here in the first place. Maybe we should take it slow and steady. He chuffed a smirk for me despite his being rattled. Slow and steady, eh? Well, this is one race I'm gonna fucking win. Why, does that sound like you're about to floor it? The grin splitting his muzzle did not fill me with confidence. Oh God. Well, it seemed we had managed to dodge death. And detention from the border patrol. Explaining why I didn't have my passport didn't go over well. At least until Daryl made up a story about how I lost it. Turns out my driver's license was good for something, even if I wasn't using it anymore. One look and they sent us on our merry way. Daryl still couldn't fathom how I slept past without seeing a single border gate. Honestly, neither did I. Maybe it was something I should check into, send some mail to a representative or something. However, those thoughts were pushed to the back of my mind as Daryl sat bolt upright in his seat. What? Holy shit. What? I followed his gaze down the road into something rather unexpected. A classic 50s style diner sat along the edge of the street. It had stereotypical red and blue neon lighting that was hard on the eyes. The colors were reflected in Daryl's eyes, something that got a short laugh out of me. God, I forgot how excitable he could be. We gotta stop here. Do we actually? We're not that far from home. Probably another hour and a half. Dude, aren't you hungry? Not expect a growl from my stomach answer that question. Daryl smirked, cocking his head in my direction. Fine, alright, you caught me. The lion beamed, his thumb already catching the turn signal and giving it a little flick. It clicked rhythmically as we zipped into the parking lot, gravel crunching under the wheels. The place smelled exactly like I would imagine. The scent of old grease stains and coffee smacked me upside the sinuses. Daryl seemed unfazed. If anything, it made the lion giddier as he zoomed up to the countertop. The waitress waiting there was a weasel dressed in stereotypical pink smock and checkered apron that matched the same dated aesthetic. She seemed distracted with her phone, which looked decidedly out of place with the all-American decor smothering the walls. Talk about a culture shock, though. Having gone from northern Canada's deep wilds to the armpit of American nostalgia. That's not entirely fair. The place does have a bit of rustic charm. Can I help you? She sounded just as bored as he looked. The weasel looked between us, baggy eyes slightly red around the corners. Yeah, table for two. The lion was buzzing, his energy barely contained under a rattling lid. The waves coming off of him crashed against the uncarried walk of waitress. She waved us over to one of the tables overlooking the parking lot. The seat squeaked aged upholstery, groaning notably when Daryl dropped onto it. What can I get you two to drink? She asked as he pulled a few plastic. Okay, maybe that's not entirely fair. The place does have a bit of rustic charm. Can't help you. She sounded just as bored as she looked. The weasel looked between us, baggy eyes slightly red around the corners. Yeah, table for two. The line was buzzing, his energy barely contained under a rattling lid. The waves coming off of him crashed against the uncaring waitress. She waved us over to one of the tables overlooking the parking lot. The seat squeaked, its upholstery groaning notably when Daryl dropped onto it. What can I get you to drink? She asked as she pulled a few plastic menus from under her arm. They were war-stained, the paper pages underneath faded and yellowed. Coffee, please. Water for me. She turned back to Daryl, her vacant gaze starting to dial in. Wait a minute. She tucked her notepad under her arm as she placed a hand on her hip. Aren't you the quarterback for the Cougars? Daryl's ears splayed back. He gave a one-note laugh, a hand going behind his head. Yeah, that's me. I heard the click of the pen before I saw it coming. Will you mind? She timidly held out her notepad, pen extended toward the lion. Hey, no problem. The lion smiled, pulling the pad close, stopping just short of tapping pen to paper. So I make it out to someone. Oh, my little brother, Jamie. And, she visited sheepishly. Maybe one for me, too? Daryl eyed the glistening plastic name tag slightly off kilter over her breast. Janice. Mm-hmm. He quickly scribbled number 15 along with his name in the recipients. He did the same for another page before tearing them out of the book, handing them to the grinning mustard. Thank you so much. I'll get your drinks out to you quick. I saw Daryl look. The big cat swelled bashfully, swanking into his wild shoulders. I guess just have one of those faces. That's kind of cool, though, right? He sweated his seat, having pulled a straw from a nearby dispenser. The tips of his claws played with the paper, slitting down the perforated edge. Isn't it? I mean, it was pretty cool at first, but I don't really care about popularity. Never had, dude. You know that. He exhaled, leaning back in his chair. It's just been about playing the game, you know? Like self-improvement. Knowing that I'm getting better. Just checking. I leaned back, smirking. Wanted to make sure we couldn't just drift home with a big head and some hot air. He opened his mouth to respond, but was interrupted by the return of our waitress. The smell of black coffee hit my nose, slipping up my nostrils and straight into my brain. So, do you boys know what you want? She stood like a sentinel, panned ready as it hovered over her notepad. A quick glance at the menu showed me something absolutely irresistible. Jumbo cheeseburger, extra fries. The saliva practically gurgled in the back of my throat as I spoke. Daryl stared at me, a brow lifted. He shook his head, clearing his thoughts. I'll take the steak and eggs. Janice nodded, scribbling down our orders without floors. Be right up. We watched as she practically twirled away, a surprising spring in her step. Well, that was something. Since when do you start liking grease burgers? I shrugged my shoulders before fizzling with packets of creamer and sugar. My mug clinked, spoon swirling, jet black into a more soothing brown. Just want a taste of home. You could do it with less cholesterol, dude. I exhaled sharply. Daryl, his head caught. I've been doing nothing but eating healthy the last few weeks. Let me have this. He held his hands up, flashing pink pads. Hey, I'm not saving or anything. You do you, dude. Food came out surprisingly fast. The door to the back kitchen fluttered back open, our waitress gliding in with a round of serving tray. It smelled heavenly. I could make out the hints of beef and onion as it made its way over. Porcelain clattered, sliding across the checkered table. The grease was dribbling from my burger, collecting on the plate around it like a halo. I ignored the disapproving look from the cat across the table, though there was an inch at the back of my mind. Something was missing. My eyes drifted to the bright red bottle at the end of the countertop. It was nestled against the window, flanked by the sugar and salt. Yeah, let's let him have it. Maybe with all this greasy food, he might gain some pounds of him. I mean, how skinny and frail he is, he could use a few pounds. But hey, considering that he left Tarwack and he's kind of a down mood, but I think he should just have a little something this time. Just I mean, I think eating healthy with Tarwack. I mean, he can spend his time go all the way with food. What's wrong with a little bit of ketchup? I mean, they hand over an entire bottle, which you're not charged for. Might as well make the most of it. Snatching the bottle, I kicked the top bun off with the neck. Daryl stopped mid-cut into his steak, eyeing me. Chris, what are you? But he didn't get an answer. The only response he was afforded was a wet sports. A cascade of vivid crimson came flooding from the glass bottle. It was like something pulled the cork on a dam. Pressurized catsup came crashing down my burger as it vanished beneath a glistening torrent of tomato. What the fuck? Daryl yanked his plate back defensively. Though it didn't entirely escape the bottle's wrath, the corner of it splattered in crimson. Holy shit. He eyed me like I had lost my mind. The ketchup bottle still flipped upside down in my hands. Wasn't sure why it took so long, but some part of my brain reminded me I should put it down at some point. The glass clanked as I set it on the table, eyeing the glistening crimson cataclysm. If you want another burger, you're paying for it. I took a few smoldering fries, stuffing them eagerly into my mouth. The simple sensation of greasy food traveled straight from my tongue into my brain as I let out a muffled moan. Dude, you're acting like that's the first thing you've eaten in days. I go before answering. Might as well have. I put down his fork, bro, arching. Wait, you didn't eat? He didn't feed you? He practically buzzed with concern, eyes drilling into me. I sighed sharply, dropping my burger. He just had a strict diet of, salmon. Don't get me wrong, I love a good fish, but not when it's every day. Daryl snorted before breaking out into a laugh. Well, someone made you eat healthy. Been trying to change your diet for years. I shrugged my shoulders, flashing the big cat toothy smirk. All it took was me getting stuck in the middle of nowhere, huh? Damn, I guess so. Isolation therapy, huh? I sighed, leaning back in my chair, the age upholstery threatening to swallow me. I think I started having withdrawals. No coffee either. I shook my head. Tama didn't have a costume scene. How dare you survive? The sarcasm was thick as he flashed me a toothy smile. Kinda sounds like you went through detox, dude. You weren't drinking way too much coffee. He said with a chuckle before scarfing a forkful of egg and well-done steak. Just a few cups, every few hours. He added, eyebrows flattened. I puffed defensively, tail wrapping around my thigh. Concentrating was hard. My classes aren't exactly easy. Thinking of, he gulped down another bite. How are things gonna go when we get back, dude? Any idea? None. I tossed a handful of fries into my mouth. trying to let the flavor distract from looming anxiety. Guess I'll figure it out later. We finished our meals in relative silence, punctuated by the honky jukebox in the corner. David paid off the bill, wouldn't even give me a chance as he waved my money away. That was fine, it's not like I had a whole lot of money anyway. We climbed back into his truck, doors quietly clapping shut. He waited a while before turning on the engine, thumbing at the key, and yet innocent. Something up? Just letting things sink in. I laughed. You? I don't mean to sound self-entitled, but I nearly died a handful of times over the last few weeks. That snapped him out of it, something I realized far too late. Wait, what? A handful. What does that mean? Oops. There's no going back from that little slip-up, so I took a deep breath. And I told him everything. From crashing out to falling off of the peak of a mountain, a crowd through the mines, attack from the local wildlife, it's a subsequent dip into a frozen river. He didn't interrupt me. I wasn't entirely sure if that was a good thing. His eyes threatened to bug out. He was flattening back. I could swear he lost a little color under his cheek fur. What the fuck? He dove fingers into his mane, tugging at it. You didn't say any of that when we talked or texted. Guilt churned, making the contents of the grease-slathered burger whirl uncomfortably in my stomach. I was going to tell you eventually. Like now? Now that you survived a few coin flips and landed in my lap? I strike in on myself. I didn't want to worry you. My tone must have been disarming enough. He sighed, shoulder slacking. I would have come up and got you, man. I was willing. Did you not trust me or something? I shook my head vigorously. No, I didn't want you to risk yourself. These were hardened mountain men. They were trapped in their own town. Some of them might have even died out there. His expression screwed out, the beginnings of a smile pulling the corners of his muzzle. What? Hardened mountain men, huh? His brows furrowed. Bet you had a good time with one in particular, right? He elbowed me, the energy of the conversation tipping onto his head. I quickly muttered, oh my God, and tucked my face into my palms. That got a good laugh out of him. I tried to punch his shoulder, but between the padding of his jacket and the muscle underneath, it didn't do much. Just mess with you, dude. Consider it payback. Payback for what? Keep it secret from me. On that note, are we done with that dude? It was my turn to sigh as I massaged my forehead, trying to stave off the budding ache. Yeah, fine. No more secrets. Alright, good. He leaned in, using the steering wheel for leverage. So, what was it like? The sultry tone of his question was unmistakable. You seriously want to know? He weighed my question for a moment. Kinda. Like, maybe I want to know if he's good enough for you. I snorted loudly, shooting him a look. Seriously? Are you gatekeeping your ex? Best friend privileges, dude. He elbowed me again. So, was it good? Come on. My face flushed, tail curling in on itself. Yeah. His muscles split into a toothy grin. I always paid you for a size chaser. I'm getting out of this truck and walking home. Hey, come on. I made a deliberate show of pulling my paw from the door handle. After a moment, he chuckled quietly. You know, I caught my head. I kind of miss talking to you like this, like hanging out and shooting the shit. He thrown at the wheel, his smile having receded into a rather worn one. Rising gores of guilt soured the back of my throat. I probably could have taken our breakup a little better. I figured you didn't want me around. You didn't stop me when I moved out. Yeah, I didn't. He said, it was drooping back, but I didn't let him stay like that long. I just needed some time. And you did a good job respecting my space too, Daryl. Yeah, I fucked up. I couldn't be the guy you needed. Between grades and football, I couldn't manage trying to keep myself in the closet. You didn't want that anyway, and it was fucking up our friendship. Something was relieving about having an honest talk with him, one where one of us wasn't getting worked up and angry. A weight lifted from my shoulders, judging from what I saw Dill's too. I'm not gonna pretend things are fixed between us, but hope this is a start. I watched his extended hand in the earnest expression the line wore. Smiling, I took it in. I took it in mine, giving it a squeeze. Yeah, I think so. Well, that could have gone better. Lily smirked, putting her hands on her hips. Could it though? If you didn't shout. Threatened to throw a table so at me. That. Okay, yeah, that's fair. At least you tried to reconcile with them. For all the good that it did, even though I was the one to come down and extend the olive branch. She clicked her tongue. I suppose that should be a lesson for me. She thumbed at her handbag strap as she looked back at the double doors. I could see a little bit of longing still in her eyes. Maybe a mourning of a life she never fit into. To be fair, I didn't feel particularly loved by that life either. Now I wasn't entirely sure I could go back. Lily must have read my expression, her hand coming from her bag and onto my shoulder. Are you going to be okay? I started sighing. It was a long time coming. They had cast her out. We doubled on the idea that she was a disappointment. Unlike before, I didn't stand for it. Besides, they don't really approve of the real me. Just an image. They see you as a little kid, not the adult you've grown up to be. I thought that was just parents, though. She shook her head. Not healthy ones, not ours anyway. They should learn to accept that their children aren't children anymore. This was all hashed out at the table anyway. She rolled her eyes in exasperation, tail dipped low. Yeah, I don't think they expected me to take your side. She smiled wearily. It was always her first time. Ouch, that one hurt. I mean, I only just grew a spine. She looked me up and down. Medically speaking, I'd occur. It makes you what enduring a little hardship will do. I figured you'd chastise me for what I went through, falling off of mountains into rivers. Did you tell them? She tilted her head towards the door adjustment. Yeah, I'll take that as a no. She smirked, slipped her hands about her hips. So, what did you tell them about the car? She gave me a pointed stare from my lack of an immediate answer. You didn't. They're still paying insurance, you know. She leaned forward. On a car buried in the snow hundreds of miles away. I frowned. Why do you care? I went back towards the door. They just kicked us out. I don't. It's just fun to make you squirm. She laughed, stepping back to avoid a swing from my tail. Hey, it's a good litmus test. If I'm going to support my little brother, I want a measure of his honesty. I scoffed. It's not like they're disowning me. They might have after today. Did you see Father's face? I think the vein in his forehead popped. I didn't think trying to bring us together as a family would break it apart. Her mirth faded as she digested the sobering sentiment. Asking for an apology wasn't wrong. Though I'm touched you advocated for me. Well, It was past due, I guess. They were always trying to put us against each other. Mm-hmm. You were their favorite. I sighed, rubbing a budding headache between my eyes. I didn't want to be a favorite. I just wanted a normal life, normal parents. God. I sighed lightly, mind drifting. I hope Tarek is doing okay. I left just as he was talking to his dad again. She tilted her head. Your new boyfriend, right? I guess. Yeah. We haven't seen each other in months. Almost half a year. The warm air breezed by, teasing at a summer just around the corner. We kept in contact, though it's kind of complicated where he lives. Long-distance relationships can still work out. And I'm speaking from experience. I caught the brow. You going out with someone since when? Since none of your business. She stuck her tongue out, a playful hint of our youthful rapport breaking through. Maybe I'll tell you more about it later. It's still in the preliminary stages. That's an awfully clinical way to put it. She shrugged blithely as we stepped off of the stairs and down the drive. Might as well call it what it is. I think most people refer to it as dating, sis. She had her phone out, tapping the screen as she casually brushed off the comment. All right, sir, should be here in a few minutes. Good. Standing on the footsteps was exactly my idea of a good time. Parents stood inside the house with us thrown out in the cold. I can't say I was entirely surprised. They took me breaking out of their preconceived mode as well as I thought they would have. Thankfully, I had enough money to write out my degree. They threatened to pull support, but the money was already set aside in an account under my name. Though living expenses might be a problem, my old job took me back, but it was more for the experience than the pride. Doing right? Sis's voice pulled me out of my thoughts. I'm not sure you've been on the receiving end of one of their unhinged rants before. Sometimes I forget you're a physical therapist and not a psychologist. She preened, puffing herself up. Getting into a client's mind space can be a helpful thing, not just for recovery, but helping them avoid making the same mistakes. Though, I'm glad you stood up for me. Yeah? A few years late, but it's still worth something. My brows flattened. Thanks. Anytime. She said with a beaming smile. The rumble of an engine cut our conversation short as an innocuous sedan pulled into the drive. Well, I suppose that's all right. You're still available to see me off this weekend, right? Not like I'm going anywhere. Good, I have a few acquaintances I'd like to catch up with. I didn't realize you had any friends. This time it was her turn to swing, tail slapping my outer thigh. Like the crack of a whip and numbing sting that lasted at the same time. Come on, our wife is waiting. Hard for me to follow if you're trying to take out my leg. She's already dipping into the open passenger seat. Good thing you know a physical therapist then. The door clapped shut with a cheeky smile flashing behind it. Hey, wait. My phone rattled on the dresser at the other end of the room. I squirmed on my bed, mentally willing the annoying sound to stop. Realizing it wouldn't cease at any time soon, I slowly got up, fist twisting into my eyes as I yawned. Midday naps, they never worked well with me, so I'm unsure why I indulged in one. Maybe it was the lack of a rigid schedule now that it was summer. This time, skipping the nap and going for the coffee machine might be the best idea. Crawling out of bed, I scooped the phone from my dresser. A small smile pulled the corners of my muzzle as the lock screen lit up. All of us crammed together on Yuka's small sofa. Gaze lingered on Tarek's face, the bear looking utterly nonplussed. It made me realize how much I was starting to miss him. He wasn't much for conversation, but tried to make the most out of our limited phone calls. My chest squeezed, my mind wandering back to the tender moments where his big arms were wrapped tightly around me. A second sigh blew out of me as I shuffled to the coffee machine on my desk. A bottle of water and a scoop of grounds later, and it was already pleasantly gurgling. Realizing I was using the last of Yuka's grounds I found, my thumb tapped at the phone screen, sifting through a small pile of notifications. Interestingly, enough of us Yuka who had rang my phone. He was playing a game of Hearthfire. No idea how he managed with his connection. My phone buzzed again, vibrating and trilling with an incoming call. It was a surprise when I saw who it was. I groaned languidly, fishing for my earpiece before popping it in. About time. Familiar indentance made its way over to slightly teeny connection. He paused for a moment, noticing my lack of immediate response. What, did you forget? You messaged me yesterday saying you wanted to play. An involuntary yawn forced its way out of me. Yeah, I guess so. Can I get my coffee first? I don't think I can handle swell noises yet. I could hear a noise getting caught in his throat. The sound of coffee drowned out his indignation, thankfully. A quick slip of sugar and cream was all I needed before the first sip. It hit me right in the endorphins and set the travel up my spine. If I wanted to hear someone moan over the phone, I'd call my boyfriend. I snorted sharply, nearly sucking some coffee down with it. I don't have to play with you. I got other friends, you know. Oh yeah? Name two. I put my mud down before shaking my head. Seriously, you want to play this game? I'd rather be playing Fortnite. You just need my better ping to win. He scoffed on the other end, static crackling lightly over my earpiece. You flounder then. See who revives you next time you go down. I took another sip before speaking. Okay, remember when you got stuck at the door because your connection needs to travel to space and back? Yeah. This time, I'm just going to keep opening and closing it on you, instead of breaking you out. Are we going to play, or is trading jabs your new pastime? I could hear his building frustration. It made me stuck. Yeah, sure, let me just get my computer booted up. My soul slapped over the wooden floor as I made my way over, rolling my chair out before depositing myself. The computer came to life with a tap of the keyboard, punctuated only by another loud sip of my coffee. Yeah. Can you stop doing that? I'll think about it. I had to bite back and snicker as he grumbled. So, I interrupted the growing silence. How's things? Yeah, it's fine. About to say after you left. Not much going on. I screwed the wooden figurine sitting on the edge of my desk, looking over it finally. How's Tarek doing? I asked, stopping around the smooth edges of the statuette. He's fine. There was a slight quiver to his voice, one that made my ears swivel. He hasn't been around a lot. I paused, started to wonder why I'm talking to you more often than Tarek. I tried to keep the levity in my words, but I couldn't help but feel a little off. Tarek and I haven't talked that much in the past few months. One phone call a week, maybe. I know I haven't had much spare time between classes and my job, but my stomach sank as I continued to caress the wooden altar. Was Tarek getting bored of me, falling back into an isolationist routine? I was beginning to wonder if confessing feelings on the eve of our departure had been a mistake. What? Do you want him to move into my living room? Not like I can just summon your boyfriend for you. The fact that you could use the title ease my anxiety a little. He's got better insight than I do. I think he would have picked up on it if we were drifting. Despite being as abrasive as sandpaper, I guess I'm just worrying too much. Been kind of distant lately. Not like he's doing it on purpose. I caught my head. What do you mean? My computer finished booting with a soft chime. If there's one thing I've learned since meeting him, Yuka is a terrible liar. Equally bad at keeping secrets as well. Yuka. What? The wolf snapped. You want to find out? You ask him. The mouse clicked as I opened up Fort Fight, the screen turning a splash of blue that illuminated the room. So let me just pack myself into a box and mail it to Iskut. If you're willing to pay a fortune and shipping and handling, fine. I paused for a moment, hand hovering over my keyboard. Wait, are you calling me overweight? I could practically hear the grin over the phone. I felt how you devour pancakes. Wouldn't be surprised if spending time up here was the only break your waistline got. There was a long stretch of silence, punctuated only by a few clicks from my mouse. Right. Why are you queuing us up for ranked mode? I smiled, leaning back in my chair with a squeak. A knock on my door interrupted by self-satisfied reverie. Can I call you back? Hey, wait, the game start. I didn't hear what he said. My earpiece was already coming out. Just a sec. I called to the door, stubborn to make myself decent. Modestly secured in a shirt and jeans, I made my way over. Chris. I took a moment for my whirling mind to catch up with my reflexes. Smoothing down my frazzled fur, I hesitantly opened the door back up. I coughed awkwardly, standing at the threshold. Hi, Hallie. For a while, I thought she would let me stew in silence. One hand reached out, clasping my shoulder, then the other, and suddenly I was smothered right into her chest. Hi, Chris. I gurgled something in response by popping, spine, punctuating the sentiment. I think that's the nicest thing you ever said to me. Oxygen refilled my crushed lungs like a crumpled can forcibly reinflating. There she was, radiating overwhelming energy in my dorm hallway. The nightmare had truly followed me home. What? I was trying my best to ignore the ache in my ribs. What are you doing here? And they think I traveled all this way to see you. Swayed her hands excitedly, hair and other things bouncing. Do you know how hard it was to find your room? I wore the back of my head, nonplussed. I only had to shake down 5 people for your room number. Those poor, traumatized souls. You could have just looked me up in a directory, or, called. She clicked her tongue while puffing proudly. Now, where would the fun be in that? I love a challenge. I don't think campus is ready for this. If I'm not ready, then I've been pre-exposed. So, do you need something? Do I need an excuse to visit one of my favorite authors? But since you're so generously asked, she leaned in conspiratorially, talking in a hushed whisper. I'm here to gather some sensitive details. Oh God, she dipping her toes into becoming an information broker? About your sister's eating habits. Her what? I want to take her out for a night on the town before we leave. Leave? My head was spinning. Is she taking a flight back? I'm going to make something sour tonight. I'm going to make something sour tonight. The Grand Sea War threatened to break off her face and expanded definitely. She's actually booked a trip with me. I'll be taking her home on my drive back. I could feel a part of me sour from being kept out of the loop like this. But my sister's plans were often her own, so she likes cheesecake. She tapped her chin thoughtfully. Give me more to work off of, Chris. I can find that anywhere. There's a bistro down the road that she used to love. A bistro, I think it's called Flavor Fusion. I've never eaten there, but I heard it's good. She grinned wide, eyes sparkling. Interesting. Thank you, Chris. Is there anything else you need? I was hesitant to even ask. Her overwhelming aura put stray thoughts aside. Oh, I brought a friend along with me. The way her smile quirked to one side, her brow lifting. My chest tightened a little, breath shortening. You see, Tawak? I was hesitant, pushing the words out despite the twist of my stomach. Of course, I couldn't keep him out of my truck once he learned what I was scheming. Not that I'm going to keep my latest business partner at bay. Business partner? We started a little online shop. It took some convincing, but he finally decided to do what's best for him. I barely heard what she was saying. The idea that Tawak was here on campus made my heart race. He isn't with you? Well, he was, but I'm afraid I'm too slippery to keep up with. Keys jingled as I laid them from my desk, faintly hearing Yuka's confused voice from my earpiece as I danced out of the room. Thanks for the info. Hallie chimed, the light stepping aside before I was forced to slide between her legs. The run down the stairs was a blur as I jumped the last few steps, twirling around the handrail. I barely made it through the doors before crashing into a broad back figure. At first her name nearly slipped past my lips as they turned. But the lack of white fur sent me aback. Oh. I stammered, flossing a bit as I realized I crashed into my counselor. He was a sizable raccoon, sporting a navy-colored vest and a button-up shirt. Smartly dressed in slacks, he flashed me a wide smile that dimpled his cheeks. Ah, Mr. Smith. How are you faring? Thick fingers caressed the full-bodied mustache that caressed his upper lip. My voice got caught in my throat as I forcefully pulled my thoughts away from Tawak. Professor Thompson, I'm doing okay. It was a sight to see him. Toon Raccoon was not only my guidance counselor since freshman year, but also had a personal hand in getting my grades back on track. I didn't really have anyone else to turn to. My parents were famously unavailable, and Daryl was busy keeping himself afloat between football seasons. I've been meaning to check up on you since the end of the semester. Oh well. I sat bashfully on my feet, furtively trying to glance around his broad shoulders. Things have been going fine. I'm glad to hear it. Your GPA has gone up considerably. How are you recovering from your... He lifted his jawline, a little mustache wobbling in a way that pulled my attention from his surroundings. Injuries. You went on quite the sabbatical from what you've told me. The knock to my head had healed well. The scar had even faded a little since then. It wasn't anything that was ever going to go away, but I didn't mind much. My arm wasn't as mangled as I thought either, with only a little bit of scarring to attest. I'm fine, just a few aches now. He smiled, a genuine one that dimpled dark furred cheeks. I'm glad that you're still with us. The older man chuckled softly. Reminds me of a road trip of my own when I was younger. I tried to keep my tone lighthearted as I spoke. Did it involve falling off cliffs and nearly freezing to death? Because if it didn't, I'm not sure they were similar. Luckily, he took my class job with a good-natured laugh. Nothing quite so life-threatening. He must have noticed my antsy glances around his shoulders. When can we? When can I? We can always speak more later if you like. I'm sure you've got other students who could use more attention anyway. Maybe, but none of them have had recent life-changing events. Before I could open my mouth to reply, he cut me off. You don't need to downplay your circumstances. Life isn't just about grades and performance seats. He stepped aside, allowing the sunlight to stream in. I'll be in my office if you need me. I flashed him a sincere smile. Thanks, Professor. A warm wind caressed my face as I stepped out to the midday sun. The cloudless sky was hard to look at, forcing me to say my eyes were palm. My ears perked as I heard my name in the wind. However, the person calling it wasn't what I expected. Daniel waved, the light hustling down the street with a purpose. He stopped just short of me, taking a moment to catch his breath. I thought you weren't down. He held, flashing me a vexed look. I was out on my own daily jog, dude. Had to sprint to get to your door. Part of me had a feeling I knew what he would say, but I let him speak. There's a guy standing out in the courtyard yelling your name. It started to gather a crowd, Chris. People are getting weirded out. There was no doubt in my mind that it was Tarek. My heart started to race again, a giddy feeling building in my chest. Did you see who it was? Now to me, people. What's going on? The perplexed lion wobbled, caught off guard as I pushed past him. Chris, hey, wait. I could hear the patter of his sneakers as he bolted after me. True to his word, a bustling crowd of onlookers had gathered outside the stadium. There were a few confused whispers and an air of unease as people passed by. Between the din, I could swear I heard my name being called. As the crowd thinned, I spotted familiar white and gray fur. My breath hissed as my eyes locked with Amber. There he was, surrounded by strawberry and students half his size was Tarek. And then he smiled. Everything became surreal. Colors brightened the entire world, swinging to just one point. My chest tightened, breath hitching. Nothing else mattered, and my feet knew it. Pushing past the students, I waved my way through the crowd and the bear that waited. His arms engulfed me, pulling me tight to his chest. As I was lifted, my feet left the ground, the big bear cradling me close. There you are. He laughed as I rolled my face back and forth against his chest. I have been trying to find you. My mind gummed up from the ridiculousness of it all. A laugh popped out of me, unbidden. You could have just called me. There was a long pause, and when I looked up, I saw a smirk spread across his face. I did. He did not answer. This time I didn't bite back my laugh. I had almost forgotten Thomas' brand of blunt humor. God, it was surreal to see him here. The subject didn't match the setting. But here he was, those strong, comforting arms engulfing me again. I kind of wish he would have told me, though. He chuckled quietly, a large hand stroking through my hair. There would not be a surprise. I couldn't immediately think of a good counter-argument. Not that I wanted to. Sudden circumstances aside, I wanted nothing more than to see him. There were tons of questions whirling around my mind, but the most simple one stood out to me. How are you? He smiled a little wider, taking a step back just to hold my shoulders. I'm well. It has been difficult without you. But I have managed. My fingers squeezed, stroking the base of my neck. He seemed content with watching me, making up for lost time as he held me, like he was committing my face to memory. I had grown used to you in my life. Going back to solitude was more difficult than I expected. He brushed my cheek and gentle caress with a thumb. But I am well. I'm sorry I had to leave. I couldn't help but lean into his large hand, nuzzling petted fingers. I'm close to finishing my degree, and I didn't want to fuck things up. I sighed softly. I wanted to compensate at least something in my life, even if it's getting that fancy piece of paper. Tarek smiled, lifting my chin up by a thumb for me to look at him. You have accomplished more than you think. Yeah? How so? You are alive and well. You survived where others would have died. You have changed lives in your wake. My brow arched as I regarded the bear. Me? I can't imagine I did much. More than you think. I now have friends. My father's repentant. Students walked past us, though I ignored their curious looks. We got a knowing smile or two that warmed my chest. How's this good? The same as it ever was, though. That will change with time. What do you mean? My father has decided to relinquish control as good. The town will end with him. Wait, what does that mean? Officially, we have been in talks with the government. It's good. The surrounding area will become a nature preserve. It's strong to our heritage. He smiled nostalgically. My mother would have liked this. So, what happens to everyone living there? They will stay for now. Some will move. It is hard to say. My puff hits, the next question getting caught in my dry mouth. What about you? Are you going to stay? The pause before his answer was nerve-wracking, but he finally smiled and answered. It is as I told you. I wish to see the world. I wish to see the ocean with you, to see the city and meet other people. If my heart threatened, while my heart threatened to melt into mush, it wasn't exactly a clear-cut answer. So, where are you staying? Are you going to move? Wait, how are you going to pay for everything? My mind whirled. Patience, Chris. I'm here on vacation. I wish to spend more time with you. And get my permit. Your what? My driving permit. I go hesitantly. Driving what? A semi-truck. I wish to see lands beyond my home. I cannot think of a better way. He smiled warily. Driving one will not be difficult. It cannot be much different than my snowmobile. I sputtered, nearly choking on my own spit. Thought there's an entire world of difference. His widening smirk hinted that he was messing with me. Do not worry, Hallie has been training me. And I have plenty of money thanks to our... He stressed the next word. Business. Making figurines for Hallie? She is a horse taskmaker. But she has pushed me to become more confident. Many people enjoy my creations, or so she says. There will be more time to talk about this later. He shrugged his large shoulders, looking down at me fondly. I have missed you. I got onto my toes, arms wrapping around his neck and shoulders. I missed you too, Tom. And there we stood embraced, our positions reversed. A bear far from home and everything he knows. Is it okay? He cleared his throat, white furred cheeks warming. I know that it has been some time, but do you mind if I say that I love you? I couldn't help but grin like an idiot, my tail curling on it, so you can say it again if you want. He beamed, eyes steady as his cheeks dimpled. I love you, Chris. I couldn't help but giggle, the feeling bubbling out of my core as I returned his smile. Love you too, Tarek. He beamed down, scooping me up in one smooth motion. Our muscles meet, sealing sentiments with a passionate kiss. I couldn't help but blush from a few wayward cheers from the crowd. It seemed we had a small audience, a red-maned lion chief among them. He grinned wide, flashing me a charismatic thumbs up. I'm not ashamed, he said with a proud smile, covering my cheek with his hand, thumb brushing through my short fur. I mean, I might be a little embarrassed. This is something that can be fixed. I suppose it's therapy. I asked with a giggle as he kissed the nape of my neck. Yes, he exhaled softly, a smile on his lips. Despite everything that had happened to me, I was content. While we weren't lovers anymore, I didn't have to say goodbye to my best friend. And Tarek had managed to find himself to finally bloom into the capable bear he was meant to be. As for me, I stumbled into a new confidence even though I was looking for an escape from my problems. Life isn't always simple and answers aren't black and white. Sometimes it's best to learn to let go, to start over. So, I guess it's time to start living my new life. Alright, so that's the end of Hearthfire. I want to miss Tarek. I miss him a lot. Very quiet, but caring bear. We're over and beyond to take care of Chris. Tarek did a lot of stuff that nobody else would have done. Nobody would have taken Chris to their home and took care of them. So I really love Tarek. He's a very caring person. So thank you for reading. It's hard to imagine that this project had lasted a year and a half, whether you read from the first upload build or you just stumbled upon it recently, or on behalf of everyone that's worked on Hearthfire, I can give you a heartfelt thank you for sticking around until the end. An extra shout out to our patrons. Without you, most of our assets like CDs and Sprite reworks wouldn't have been possible. While Tarek and Chris's tale might be over, we still have some ideas in the works for new stories. Look forward to a fairness. Anyway. Wasn't fairness, but so things in there pretty well. I mean, they get to see each other again. And I don't know if I think he's on vacation here in the States, so I guess at some point he'll have to go back to Canada. But Tarek does plan on driving a semi-truck. So I guess he's going to be like a truck driver and see the country and all that stuff. So I'm happy he stood up to his father and decided not to to take over for his father for the village. So his father decided to accept him for who he is, and Iskut will be a nature reserve. So his father would be the final chief of Iskut. So I'm happy that both Tarek and his father managed to make up and good to hear from Yuga again. He's grumpy, grouchy, and sarcastic self. I mean, the fact that he's even calling Chris and talking to him is a big example of how much he's grown on Chris, And about Daryl, I figured things would not work out. I just didn't think him and Chris being a couple will work out because there's so many factors, exterior factors that prevents them from really being a couple. Because Daryl has aspirations for being a professional football player, and his coach is very homophobic. So if if he revealed himself as being gay, his coach might decide to get rid of him. But you know, when you're a football player, like when they were in that diner, that dining, that lady who took their order, she knew who Daryl was and asked him for an autograph for her and her relative. So many people around there know Daryl. So basically, if you come out as gay, then it'll get a lot of people's attention, whether it be positive or negative. It will gain the attention of many people. So, and it will gain even more attention if he decides to be a football player by confessing himself as being gay and announcing that Chris is his lover. So I just didn't think the relationship would work. There had to be a lot of sacrifices for the relationship to work, like sacrifice his career and all that. But I don't just didn't think it would work out between them. I think Chris would be better off with Tarwack. Though I am happy that both Chris and Daryl decided to remain being friends. And he even cheered Chris on as Tarwack was holding him up in front of everybody. Tarwack didn't seem to care all about all the attention he was getting from the people on campus. Just show his affection for Chris in front of everybody. Yeah, apparently his Chris's parents, don't want anything to do with him or his sister anymore. Apparently, so they tried to reconcile their parents, but their parents wouldn't go for it because they didn't decide to go the exact career paths they wanted them to go to. It seems like Chris is the favorite of the two. I guess because he's a male. So got to see Hallie again. Always optimistic and cheerful. Though she is a shrewd business person. So this really is it. This is the end of Hearthfire. So we won't see Tarek anymore. Won't see Chris anymore. I really enjoyed Tarek. Just caring and just very lovable person. And Chris is very lucky to have someone like Tarek. So thank you all very much for watching. Goodbye.